Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sarah.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. I am thrilled, y'all, because I have a really good friend of mine and amazing colleague on today. Her name is Amanda Alcamo, and she is a chiro out in Columbia, Missouri. She's been working with an amazing practice out there since 2015, y'all. She is a powerhouse. She's a leader. She's also an amazing heart-forward human and has done the work. And so I'm excited for you guys to get to hear that voice and that heart come forward. She is incredibly passionate about prenatal and perinatal care. Over the roles, to be honest, she helped start this practice. And then also now she is literally the main doc lead. She is a marketing director. She is a trainer of all new docs. She does social media. Her favorite self-appointed title is Chief Concern Officer. Does all the things. But her real transformation, y'all, didn't just come from a title change. It truly has come from within. And I think that's the opportunity that we all know to be true. When you discover more of yourself, everything else flourishes. And so I'm just really excited for you guys to hear from her because we're going to talk a lot about what her associateship has looked like and how she's evolved into that and some of this identity she's had to navigate in that associateship as she's work for somebody else, but also taking on leadership and having desires come in her heart as well. So thank you so much for being here, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, guys. I love what you guys do. And this is an awesome kind of new journey for you guys too. So very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So I would love, let's hear your story a little bit. How did you get to where you are today and to really understand how you also are working in this other practice and been there for almost 10 years?
Yeah, that's wild. It's so crazy too, because when you see babies, where you might have adjusted the pregnant mom and then the baby, and now they're 8 or 9 and you're like, what? I feel like I'm the same age. How are you here? That's so wild. But yeah, so starting back, I always wanted to be an ortho surgeon, more so because a background of mine, I had severe scoliosis, got caught really late. I played competitive basketball and I was constantly getting injured with just different stuff. And I ran through the medical model to where it was I would sprain my ankle multiple times a year, then shin splints, then a knee issue, and so on and forth. And it wasn't until we were so behind it, and our pediatrician at that time, which I was in 8th grade, retired. And so this new lady came, and if I was being honest, I looked at my mom, was like, this ain't it. We need to go somewhere else. And literally on my first visit, she was just looking at me, and we're kind of telling her I'm in and out of physical therapy so much. I'm we're meeting our deductible every year. This is crazy. All with the same thing of the medical background was just they would look at the ankle, go back to physical therapy. Oh, she must play hard. You need different shoes. You need orthotics. You need a knee brace. You need, your bones are developing so rapidly, but you were playing so competitive. I was playing 5-6 days a week, stuff like that. So anyway, fast forward. I had rapid onset scoliosis. And so my curvature went from literally a 23 to a 68 degree curve in less than a year. So I had to have surgery by my sophomore year. And so they did the 2 Harrington rods, screws, everything put in. Had a lot of complications on that one. Had to learn how to walk again, which was unexpected. Had a lot of digestive issues then coming, painful menstrual cycles, just all these crazy things. Within the next 6 years, it was the sickest I've ever been in my life. And I was a super health nut. I had chronic irritable bowel. Like I said, really painful menstrual cycles. I would have night sweats, back knee, and all these symptoms just kept coming up. And so we just literally kept going to the doctor. It's okay, I have back knee, go to the dermatologist. He's recommending Cetaphil, Neutrogena. We're doing everything that they're saying. He's it's your shirts. You need the dry fit shirts because you're sweating too much now with, sports or working out, that type of thing. Irritable bowel, you need to cut some things out. And I'm there's nothing really to cut. I was super healthy at that point. Painful menstrual cycles. My doctor wanted me to go on birth control. And I'm glad I was never a pill person because I was sorry, no, which is so rare of I can't swallow a pill. I think it's my gag reflex mixed with I saw like what medicine did to my mom and my sister specifically. And I was like, well, this isn't getting you well. And like, why are you doing this? So like, I like refuse medication at all costs. So anyway, so within that 6 years, sick as I've ever been, I kept having weird symptoms. One day I woke up, couldn't really feel my legs, couldn't stand up. And so we went to the surgeon again. And there was a spinal cord infection going on throughout my spinal cord, which was like a softball size, almost like tumor looking infection in my L4, L5. So he thought it would be a quick cleanup. He like fit me in. It's right before Christmas. He's like, I'll just do a quick cleanup, get you back. We're good to go. Do a PICC line type thing. And he said he opened up my spine, like that part. And he said it was just massive infection. He said I had to open up everything again. And we had to like do a massive clean out. So heal from that for 6 months. It was just a clean out, was on a PICC line. 6 months later, I started having these symptoms again. Like, and I mean, like they were even worse, like night sweats and I'm cold, like just crazy. So we go back. And again, I start to have this where I can't move really well. Like I was stuck in like literally like this position. And so my mom, of course, like she's yelling at me of, you always do too much or work it out. Like you do all this stuff. Like you can't do. And it wasn't that. So go back. And he's like, for whatever reason, we've never seen this happen, but your body's rejecting the metal. And so we're going to have to pull it out and start over. So he's like, we could do that, or you can be on medication the rest of your life. For whatever reason, your body is just rejecting it. It's causing a systemic infection throughout your spinal cord constantly. So we either need to keep like a medication to keep the antibiotics for the rest of your life at this point, or take it out. He's like, it's up to you. So my parents, like, thankfully gave me that decision. They're like, you're the one going through it. Like, it's up to you. I was like, we're taking it out. We're done. So we take it out, go back through physical therapy. So in that time, while I was healing, I actually got in a car accident, not my fault. But I got rear-ended. Of course, back to physical therapy I go. And it's funny, they actually put me on payroll and let me work the front desk. They're like, you're just here so much. Do you want to work here? You're great. I was like, I would love to. This place seems great. Fantastic. So going through physical therapy, and then I was like, my neck just still doesn't feel right. I need to get adjusted. And of course, my surgeon was like, you can't get adjusted. Like, they would kill you. Like, what are you talking about? Your body is fused. Like, even though the metal is gone, my spine is still fused from T3 to L4, and my right hip bone is taken out. He's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, my chiropractor is really good. I always had him in basketball. And again, I just never really knew why I was getting adjusted growing up. Like, he was a nervous system center chiropractor, but like, he never really educated on anything. So anyway, so I go in, and he hadn't seen me for now almost like 10 years. And he was like, what's going on? And so I fill him in on this whole story. And he's like sitting here like, what in the world? And he's like, what? I was like, I know, it's really crazy. And he's like, well, what are you doing right now? I was like, well, actually, I work at Starbucks, and I work part-time at this physical therapy place. And I took a break from school because it was like, I would start school, out of school, and it was like, we're just not doing school. He's like, well, what did you want to do? I was like, well, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, but I don't think that's going to work out at this time because I'm going to be 50 by the time we're done. I was like, but it's really frustrating because Dr. Brown, I know exactly what I want to do. And he's like, okay, let's hear it. I said, I want to get people well, and I want them to heal from the inside out without drugs, without medications, try to avoid surgery at all costs. And he looks at me and he like smirks like Marissa's doing right now. And he's like, yeah, that's a chiropractor. Kid you not, in my kid's life. Because I go, no, that's not it. I want to be a real doctor. And he goes, literally didn't miss a beat. And we are. And he's like, no, it's the doctor of chiropractic first, a MD, whatever. I go, no, that's not it. I was like, I've looked into nutrition, dietitian, like physician's assistant. I'm like, I just can't figure it out. Like, it's not that. He's like, okay, why don't you go to Logan? Like, it's around the corner. It's 5 minutes from my house. He's like, go there. He literally put the catalog in my chest. He's like, here's the catalog. Get out of my office. Go take a lap. You have nothing. Are you off today? Go. And so I went there, and literally I was not even convinced. So I get there. Everything was seamless. People were great. They give me a tour. I'm like, this sounds great. Sounds great. It's kind of aligning, but I don't think this is it. It was not literally. So I kid you not. I'm praying over it. Okay. And this is like a couple weeks now after that tour. I'm praying over it, and I hear a message so clear. And I've never actually shared this with anyone. And it said, like, this is where you need to be, and I'll take care of the rest. Like, that was it. It was wild. And so I was like, are you sure? Like, am I here? I don't think this is it. And so literally I enrolled like that week, went through all of school, had doubt every single week. I actually had a lot of struggles in school. I had failed out of school, had to like get back in, took boards more times than you could buy a Ford Focus. And literally all I kept saying, and clinicians said the same, they're like, Amanda, like you have something that not many people have. You're a connector of people. It's like, you just got to do the book work. We'll get through it. But like, you're going to see when you go to clinic and everything else, it's going to be a drastic shift because you're so personal and your marketing side. He's like, you're just going to shine. And I was like, okay. I was like, we've invested a lot of money. Like I'm running out. So I re-enrolled back in the school because I failed out. And again, such a God thing. I was with my buddies that also had failed out. And we're in the line, you know, it's like the third store, on the third floor line, right? Everyone has a line. And you go in, basically the dean like signs off as like, go to the bursar's office to give you a check for everything you owe. And then it comes to fruition. They're really waiting to just kind of cash out. And so I get there, it's silent. This is such a weird God thing. And I'm like nervous as hell. I was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And I was like, because for me, I was like, I did everything humanly possible. Like it wasn't a matter of doing the work. It was a matter of there's a comprehension issue and I'm not getting it. I had literally 3 tutors per subject. I closed down the library. I took every board review possible. It was just like, I just could not put something together. Like I would teach my friends, they would get a 90 and I would get a 48%. And they're like, you just told me everything. Like what? So it was wild. So anyway, so I'm sitting in his office and silent as a board. And he's just like looking over, you know, the stuff, like terrible. I can make a movie out of this. And I like look up and he has all these medals of triathlons. And short story, like when I first started Logan, like when I was getting after the 3rd surgery, I was in the pool for a lot of my rehab and stuff. And so I told my mom, I was like, you know, I'm getting better. I'm going to do a triathlon because every doctor said, you're never going to be able to play basketball. You're never going to be able to do golf. You're never going to be able to work out again. You're probably not going to have kids. Like, it was just like, no, no, no. And you're like, you're telling a 21-year-old this, like with this whole life. And I was like, a complete, like type A person. You tell me I can't do something, like watch me like go crazy. And so I had just completed my 3rd triathlon that year. I was still like doing Logan. And so that was my thing of like triathlons and stuff. And so I asked him, I said, have you done all these? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool. And so still silent anyway. So I said, he goes, well, do you have anything to say? I was like, yeah, I actually do. And I said, I'm not going to cry or be upset about any of this. I said, I just want you to know there's some really, really good doctors that are obviously failing out, but they would be amazing clinicians because we can't take a test or figure out what you guys are asking or wanting. I said, it's super unfortunate. I said, and so I felt like Pretty Woman where she is just like, big mistake, huge. And I pull out my binders, right? And I mean, it's color coded, everything is just like, I mean, the work was there and he's like flipping through everything while I'm talking. And I'm still like, don't cry. I said, like, I'm not going to be upset I did the work. I said, but at the same time, I've never been in this scenario before. I've never taken this stuff. So how would I ever expect me to like go through perfectly well the first time just because other people can? I said, so I'm not upset. Like, I'll go back to the stuff that I did before and I'm perfectly happy either way. And he sat there for a minute, signs the signature, goes like, you know, take this to the bursar office. And I was like, damn. Okay. So of course I get choked up a little bit, but I'm like, you're not crying till you get out of this office, don't you dare. And I look and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And he said, it's a statement for re-enrollment. And he goes, I want you to go down to SLU and I want you to basically do testing down there to see like about reading comprehension and stuff, get time and a half to kind of figure this stuff out. And then I want you back here on Monday and you're going to start and I'm going to cut your like course load and blah, 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 blah. And so of course I asked him, I said, well, why? And I was like, because literally there was like every single person did not make it out of there. And this is wild. He goes, my daughter's name is Amanda and you remind me a lot of her. And I think you're going to do really, really well here. Don't disappoint me. And so it was really cool. So anyway, so fast forward, I shined through clinic, became the highest adjuster, like literally left with like 1,200 adjusters. Like clinical awards is stupid, but that was always my goal. And so I wanted to open a practice in Kansas City. It was close enough. I'm in Missouri. So I was like, okay, something close enough to my parents to where if I can get home, blah, blah, blah. So I had a couple internship type peak experiences in Tennessee near Dr. Sarah. Like I met Dr. Sarah and was like, I want to peak with her. And my friend at the time, Alex, was like, girl, I told you we're going to like her. And no, she's taken. She's mine. And so I was looking at Dr. Devin Armand. I was like, okay, like that's going to be great. Unfortunately, like money wise, I was like, wait, you don't get paid for any of this? Like, how am I going to fund any of this? It doesn't make sense. So I called Taylor up, which he wasn't actually, we knew each other. We weren't really good friends. I'll never forget this call. He won't either. And he was just opening the practice. We started in the same class, but because I failed biochem like more times than 4, like kind of brought you back, right? And so he was opening in Columbia. So my mind was like, okay, it's close enough. It's about an hour and a half where I was in St. Louis. And I was like, I could even do this where I can commute, work for him, come back if I need to, kind of figure out logistics wise. And then you're halfway to Kansas City as well. And so I called him up and I said, hey, I have a proposition for you. And he's like, okay, like, I said, what do you think if I come and help you start your office and I'll do anything you want me to do? I said, you know, I was looking to go to Dr. Devin. However, like he's been in practice 5 years. I'm looking to open in Kansas City. This is close enough for me as well. But like, I need to know what it looks like to open an office from the get-go, not someone that's been 5 years in and already has everything set up. He goes, let me get Leah on the phone. And so the 3 of us were on the phone. And they're like, okay. He's like, well, I can't have an intern. And I was like, already figured it out. I'm a step ahead of you. I said, I literally like worked so hard to meet numbers, but even go way above and beyond them, that I was like, so this is what I'm thinking. I was like, I'll drive to you on Monday morning. I'll leave my house at like 5 a.m. I'll be in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday night, I'll drive back. I'll sit butt in seat, just study for boards and clinic because I already gave away my patients anyway. I'll just study boards on Thursday, Friday. You got screenings. I'll come back up on Friday, be there for the weekend through Wednesday and do that. So I did that for 7 months straight. Wild. He's like, okay, this all sounds great. This is great. We'd love to have you. Do you have somewhere to stay? I was like, oh yeah, I have so many friends in Columbia. Like, don't even worry about it. I had nobody in Columbia. And the only person I knew, her son just died at 16. So I was like, I'm not about to ask this lady like to come live with her. And so I was looking in at like hotels and everything else, but then I like researched the community. I belonged to Gold's Gym at the time. So literally I went to sleep in my car for like the first couple of weeks. And I would like kind of like wait it out. First I was like, I'll sleep in the office. It's gonna be great. I just have to like wait it out for them to leave. And then I'll kind of like come back, sleep on an adjustment table, go to Gold's, work out, shower, and then come back. Like they don't even know. But I didn't know they're late night owls. And so they freaking like, were there forever at the office, especially getting started. So all of us were there till like 10 or 11. And I was like, he's like, hey, are your friends home? I was like, yeah, I'm waiting to hear from them. And I'm like doing nothing on my phone. And so I was like, okay, well, see you in the morning. And so I was like, I'm going to have to like drive somewhere. So I literally drove. I know it's wild. I drove to the Walmart parking lot and literally like just kind of waited. And I waited to see their car leave. And then I drive back and like park behind the building. And I literally just like laid my seat back and I was like, I'll just sleep here, you know, whatever. So yeah, did that. At some point, which he's never told me this, I don't know if he's seen me or I still don't know to this day. He's like, yeah, you know, how are your friends? I was like, oh yeah, they're so great. And he's like, well, why don't you come and just stay with me? And like, why don't you come over for dinner? Because they were living in his wife's parents' basement as well through this whole thing. And I was like, oh no, that's okay. He's like, no, like come over for dinner. And like, he was like super insistent on it. And so I go over for dinner one night and it's, you know, awkward as hell. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Amanda. I'm from St. Louis. Like, okay, that's great. And they're like, well, it's getting kind of late. Do you want to just stay here? I'm like, oh no, that's okay. I have my friend. And they're like, why don't you just stay here? We have an extra room downstairs. And I was like, okay, like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So fast forward from there on out, they're like, you're only here a couple of days a week anyway. Like, we don't mind. So I end up staying there with him too. And so I would literally stay in Leah's parents' basement. I'd wake up early. He would iron my shirt. I'm like, oh, are you ironing? Can you get my shirt too? You have my shirt to iron. And then I'd make everyone breakfast and then his parents' breakfast, clean up. And then I'd be like, okay, I'll see you at the office. Bye. Like, and so that was the restoration. So that was a very long story. Instead, as quick as possible.
That is remarkable. And now you've been there for almost 10 years.
Yeah, it'll be 9 this year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you not only obviously helped him start his practice, and then what was the journey, if I can ask, like, what made you want to then stay? Because you had the thought of wanting to go open your practice.
Mm-hmm. It was solely, so there was 2 things. I was operating still at a level of, I felt like starvation artist. Like I didn't have any money. I had a shit ton of credit card debt. I didn't have backing on anything. My credit score was, I kid you not, 480. And so now I'm sitting here like, okay, like I can do this. Like, let me try to get bank loans and it's gonna be great. And I already had I had my LLC, like I was doing all the work at night, even afterwards, like office stuff, everything was planned. And like, I was just like this weird hesitant. Again, this was wild. I hear a voice one night. And at this point too, so now I've been there and then I had graduated and I feel part 3 bored. Part 4 I passed, part 3 I didn't. And so I was there for an additional year. And I mean, I was crying too, but he's like, Amanda, like nothing changes. He's like, what are you going to do? Like, just go home and sit and like study occasionally and work at Starbucks? He's like, why don't you stay here? I can pay you. Like, it's not much because we're just getting started too, but I can pay you. So at least you're still getting experience. You take boards and when you pass, okay, great. Like you move forward. And I was like, okay. And so he paid me enough to where I was literally, I had 3 different subleases. So Columbia's a college town. And fortunately, so I would rent a room and a bathroom out for $300 a month and just stay in someone's like random ass, like twin bed and bathroom and go to work and just kind of keep doing the same thing. So anyway, I did that for a whole year. And, you know, I had a mental breakdown at that point with that because I'm like, why am I always struggling? I'm a doctor and I'm sitting on this fucking like twin bed, like with sorority kids that I don't even know. And I'm like twice their age. Like, this is stupid. And so the familiarity with Taylor and Leah, and also like, I think their love and compassion and just their like, that's what has always like kept me there to stay. So one night I was in this shitty apartment and I literally like, again, hear the voice because I'm like praying about like, do I stay? Do I go? Like, what do I do? And it was like this hamster wheel. It was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to own. I got to do this or you're not successful. And it was like, breathe and just, you need to stay here for a minute. And so I talked to my parents too, because obviously they don't even have money, but I even tried to like, because I didn't, I was like, you know, can we leverage your 401k? I was like, the best part is it's still investing in money. You don't even have to take it out, but it's just as collateral. And that's only if I don't pay the loan. So we're really looking really good here. And my dad said no. And so I was like, okay, so we're out of options. Don't really know what else can possibly do. And then this part I was really devastated for actually. His no honestly crushed me because I had worked tirelessly. Like, I don't even think they even knew the subleases and all the shit that I was here for. And like even sleeping in my car, I don't think they know that to this day until this comes out. And it was like, no one wants me to succeed more than me. And like, at that time, it was like, you believe in someone else more than me. And I put in the work to do it. And that like, it just like broke my heart and like, it truly still does until we had a come to Jesus moment. Like it was a couple of years back. It was like, and I asked him that same question. I was like, why was it easier for you to tell me to stay with Taylor than it was to believe in me and help me build the journey practice that I wanted? And like knowing from my family didn't have money at all, like understanding my dad's thought process through that like gave more clarity, because at first, you know, for years I was like still just like so super upset about it. And he just said, Amanda, like it wasn't that I didn't believe in you. He's like, I knew you would succeed, but I was also scared for you that I knew I couldn't bail you out if you didn't. And he's like, and I didn't want you to take on more debt and more things because you've already had a lot on your plate and you've already had this late start at life and just constantly like from surgeries and just all this stuff. He's like, I couldn't do it. And he's like, you know, Taylor, it wasn't that I believed in him more. I knew he also was with Leah and they had financial backing. They had parents that could do it too. And I knew that if you would be there, you could succeed anywhere. But I knew like it would be just, you know, a good fit and just really good stability because they're good people. And so that's kind of where that came down to.
Safe.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It was a 100% safe option. So took the safe option for a while. And of course, that even caused more like heart issues and mind issues and stuff like that too.
I can imagine, because obviously you went into this with a very specific goal, vision, path forward, and hearing your story, like when you have a vision, girl, like you're it, like no one's getting in Amanda's way. Like And if they do, fuck y'all, I'm going to find another path. Thank you very much. Signed, sealed, and delivered, right?
Yeah.
So obviously having changed and then working through the heart stuff of like identity, like, no, I was supposed to be here for a purpose. I was going to go out on my own and do my thing. And then working through the process of like having those conversations with your dad, obviously the one most recently, just 2 years ago, you've been at this practice for almost a decade now. How did you transition from I'm only going to be here temporarily into really owning the fact that now you were here and have this decision for a period of time and like stepping more into your power now in the space that you cultivated for yourself there? And how is that transition with obviously other doctors and Taylor as the owner backing up the practice when you were also very much an integral part of building a practice? If anyone on this podcast listening has built their own practice, like it is a family team, like community effort. And yes, like you show up for that. And I'm sure you took a lot of ownership in wanting to make that successful because you wanted to continue to learn how to do it potentially like in Kansas City on your own. So what was that heart and life and identity transition for you like?
Oh yeah, that was a big one. I'll say honestly, so I've been working with a mentor of mine now for 5 years, actually today, 5 years, which is wild. Oh, we should have popped battles this morning. Oh, no worries. We'll get it lit. Okay. So 5 years, I started working with a mentor. And at that point, it was like, I was depleted. Honestly, I was mentally drained. Physically, I was in the worst shape then of my life. I honestly started drinking more because it was just like, I was just like capped out, burnt out. And there was, a couple things just from like, things learning office, you had a couple not great hires along the way, and it created a lot of turmoil to where that created division, especially even with me, Taylor, Leah, team wise. And like, it comes down to like almost middle management, where middle management just sucks. It's like, if you're doing a great job, the owners love you. If you're like, and they're trying to like kind of get you to have like this authority role, but they never really kind of put you into that role publicly. So then it can come off like you're just being an ass, or like, well, that's just Dr. Amanda. Like, and it's like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do. So then it's like, well, why am I telling the team what to do? Or why am I telling a doc what to do? Or, it was just super confusing. And so that, of course, like burnt me out mega, because you're like, you have the same vision, or you thought you did. And then it just like lots of, I would say, unsaid expectations that started creating like harbored resentment. Unsaid communication was creating even more resentment. And then it was like everything, even from the beginning, was like, we're a team. It was like we. And then when it came down to it, whether it was a hire or a fire or something toxic, or they're not like taking different responsibilities in certain things, then it was like, it's no longer we. It was like, well, it's ours. I was like, oh, okay. And so those were like reality checks that I also had to like identify too, of like, you're right, it's your practice, do what you want, don't care. Like, and so then I would like, your heart shield would go up, and then it would like kind of start coming down, and like we'd have come to Jesus, meetings or conversations. And it was like, it was just super confusing, I would say, more than anything. So at 5 years ago, I started working with a mentor. I was like, you know what, something's got to change. Like, I am literally like, I'm done. I got to go. And the worst thing I said, and because they had always wanted me to start a long-term contract. And literally every year, I was like, I'm going to do a 1-year contract, literally every year. And they're like, and Leah would be like just blue in the face. We're just fine. Like, you've been here. Like, why do you keep playing us? Like, just sign it. And like, and then from their perspective though, too, is like, we want you to be a leader, but you keep doing these 1-year contracts too. So we need to plan like accordingly what's going to be best for us. And so it's like, I understood where she was coming from. And for me, I was at the perspective of like, nothing changed for me. I show up day in, day out. I've shown up and I've showed you the work that I can put in. So what difference does it make if it's a 5 or 10-year contract? I liked a 1-year contract because it's like, let's keep assessing, because the last thing I wanted was us to be not in great terms, and to like have built something and then you leave on a bad term, and now it's a bad taste in your mouth, or you feel like, oh my gosh, well, now my contract's till this year. And now it's just like, it's just not a good feeling. And I didn't want that, because I valued our relationship so much. And I was like, I want to make sure that each year, are we still going in a great direction? Are we still on top of like where we need to be? Am I fulfilled? Are you fulfilled? Do we want to see any changes? And also, if we do have changes, do I feel like I'm on board to do those changes for? I didn't want this like 10-year captain and it's like, okay, I guess whatever goes, goes. And here we're here for the ride. And so understanding those differences were also huge. Because people change. I mean, dynamics change. I mean, a lot can change in a year. A lot can change in, 3-4 years. So started working with this mentor and he was bringing more clarity and kind of heart space and also breaking down a lot of, I would say, like different traumas and learned patterns of basically like almost like the starvation artist, where it was like you were operating out of such deficit. So it's not shocking that like I was so defensive of work, or like I was working tirelessly for like extremely high performance, and then money hungry, like money was in the background because it's like, I'm not failing. So I think with both of those in the play, we had to kind of break that cycle. And I thought like when, a lot of people say like, if you're making more money, but doing less work, then you're not working. And it was like, no, you're working more efficiently and you're doing more purposeful work. And it doesn't have to be an 80-hour. It's just, you're learning how to do stuff differently. So that was the shift for us too. So like, even now it's like, I make more than I've ever had and I'm working less than I ever have, but it's because you have even more team to delegate things to that we didn't have before. And that kind of comes with, being there and being able to do stuff, but also more, you're just doing it more efficiently and you kind of have a rate and rhythm and stuff to get it done better. I guess if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just like learning what kind of version of you has to show up in a new environment with a different path that you're forging forward for yourself, right? So like some doors may have, closed at that time. And so how do you figure out and navigate finding that next one without losing your fucking marbles, right? Like,
Yeah.
And just keeping your heart healthy. And I think a lot of people, Sarah has shared this on prior episodes, like there is sometimes that dichotomy of like, no, I want to do it on my own and I'm only worthy if I'm doing it on my own, versus finding worth in what you are currently experiencing and the way that you show up. And it sounds like obviously you showed up as your best self. It doesn't mean that there still wasn't that like chaos inside. And obviously you found a mentor and we're working through some of that. So like when you are in an associateship and when you are contributing to a practice, but not necessarily in the same way of a like the owner, the financial backing, or the person that really is putting themselves out there in a very public way, like what are you looking for from that person, from your role as an associate to help continue to promote a positive team culture environment where you also then feel valued for the very real, raw, honest, hardworking day in and day out contribution that you make, not as a CA, but as another doctor that's truly wanting to see this practice in place thrive and also to be financially compensated appropriately for it?
That's a great question. I would say if I had to say anything, it'd be having very intentional conversations early and often. Those were things that we didn't really do that much. And it was just because I was short-term focused of like, I knew my long-term vision, but it was just kind of like what was in front of me at this point. And also at a place where I didn't feel worthy is a weird word to say, but I didn't feel worthy to even negotiate a salary. I didn't feel like up until this last contract, like, which is wild. I never negotiated a salary. I never negotiated anything. It was just like, okay, here's what we're at. It was like, okay, full assigned, done. Like, and I think it was still came from like, money just making you just so anxious and almost like you felt bad that you were paying me, even though my work is like killer. Like it was very weird. So I think as an associate itself, leading a team in a doc, I think conversations early and often, communication, not just like, hey, where do you want to see this go? Because something I've witnessed, especially with like Taylor and Leah, is, and again, they're phenomenal, but I noticed this even with their team. Like if you came in, even as a first day hire and you're like, hey, where do you see yourself? And someone said, oh, I see myself staying here. This is the place I want to be for life. And I'm going to be here for life. Instantly, they're going to pay you a lot more. They're going to be more gracious. They're going to hold on to you. They have and did. To people that were just like, but they're committed, they're going to stay. And someone that was like, I don't know, like maybe like 3 months or 6 months or a year and stuff. like they didn't really like, I don't want to say they didn't sew into them, but they were kind of like, they kind of met them where they were too, which is also fair. And I think humans do that a lot where, I mean, we actually have a joke of like me and Kendall were their shortest term people of like, I was supposed to be there a year. Kendall thought she was going to clean tables and literally also be there less than a year just to get work experience out of college. And we've been their longest people. Like we both have been there. She literally has been there 8 years. Her farewell is tonight actually, which is fun, but like 8 years and like going on 9 years. And then the people that initially they hired, they were like, I'm all in, I want to stay. Of course, they were getting compensated even higher and like different things. And they were their shortest employees. And it's just like, so I think having the conversation of not just like, where do you want to go, but also like buckets of what fulfills you. Like, I mean, Enneagrams are such a big thing, learning those early and often. So, you know, okay, like if you're going to sit here and give me word, like compliments, that does nothing for me. Like, I appreciate it. Thanks. But like, I'm a quality service and access or quality time and access service. So it meant more to me that they took me out to dinner or that they like wanted to go golfing with me or they wanted to have a drink or have me over and just have quality uninterrupted time, just to have good, solid conversations than it would be to give me more money or give me more stuff. And so I think learning more of the quality and also what individual goals are and not like, how can we support you through those goals, but also like laying out a, not a rubric, but like, what are you passionate about? Like, what do you feel you do really well? What are things you also want to learn here? Because we want to be able to challenge you in this role and like learn new things, but also we like, it's kind of like school. I don't need you to keep like jumping down your throat to like try to get you to learn like biochem when clearly I don't got it. Like, but marketing, I thrive. So why don't you actually put me in that role and let me do my role very well, you know, and get out the way. Like, so it's just, I think as boss owners, associate, it's just like understanding what do you do very well and like, let that light shine, but also speak up on that for people. And so that way everything just works so much better. I mean, Kendall is a great example of this too, of like Kendall, she can do people like, but that's not like, she can't shine like there, you know, where there's some people, they love to be in front of people all the time. Like I have a couple team members like Kate, you know, hi, how are you doing? They are customer service driven people. Like, great, put them there. Don't make them do paperwork. Like we don't like, let's keep their light shining in roles that they are very, very good at.
I think that's we talked actually about this a little bit in the previous episode that will be coming out, or actually just came out about also if you are hiring an associate, knowing who you want and what you're looking for, while also, like you said, like, I think it's a gift to be able to call up and to call through and really call out that potential and not being shy to say, well, no, I hired you for this and this is all I'm going to have you do, and not being able to be flexible and adaptable with the human that is in front of you, which I think is a beautiful understanding, obviously, of what you started to navigate and having a voice to ask for. And I watched this happen over the course of your time while you've been in this practice. It's such a huge gift. I love it so much. As you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart's just like beating. You're making me cry. Like, it's incredible. So I also know, like, I've watched you have to navigate some of that identity factor of things when it came to, like you said, your worth, this like performance addict version of yourself versus being present as well. What would you say? Because on the flip side, you guys now have also hired multiple different associates, and now you're leading and training those associates, not only for yourself, but what is one of the things that you've really watched as an identity factor for students or docs coming into your practice that they really have to navigate through? And then how would you encourage them to navigate it and process their way through that?
I would say every associate comes in so different. And this actually stuck out to me last week. Like I had a one of those moments that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is wild, is when me and Taylor first started, even from our first associate, like to hire on, like after me, like we were kind of brainstorming, and I told him, I was like, I don't want any women. I don't want women. I can't handle it. Don't want it. Like we need a male, because I felt heavily, I do really well with males, like to work with. It's just like, they're very trainable, teachable. They'll do it. Go with where you want to go. this is what's wild, is we had just hired Dr. Becca on, and Dr. Ryan literally a couple months ago. So we have 5 of us right now. And Dr. Becca was a team member and went to school because we like inspired her so much. She's like, I'm gonna come back and work for you. We're like, okay, and no, she will. And she came back and like now she's with us. And so, but she is such a light of energy and joy and intentional. And like, I mean, she is on it. Like she like just crushes it. And it's so funny through training. I'm like, she has been my favorite person to train and do well because she will ask the questions intentional and she sees the gaps, and she's just a very highly driven person. And the guys have actually been my hardest and worst to train because I'm like, I don't know what you don't know. Can we ask questions? Can we do that? Like, and it's just been, I've seen like almost like where I've given up on them, like, which sounds terrible. But you're like, men and women learn so much differently. And what I thought I would have really liked, I actually enjoyed the opposite. I've loved training women. I love being with like them, and like I have like this connection with them, and it's just been super fun. I think when people take on an associate role, I've seen 2 patterns. I've seen a pattern where it was kind of like mine, where it was like, okay, if I'm going to be here, then I'm going to learn everything humanly possible so that I'm going to be successful on my own. And I'm literally using this practice as a kind of a rough draft to see and like change, rearrange, all the things. But I had to learn everything to be able to do it. I see that. And Dr. Becca is a lot like that as well. I've seen other associates that have kind of come in and go where they've kind of come in. There wasn't really a template. There wasn't necessarily a goal in mind or communicated expectation. So it's like they kind of come in, they work, they do their job, and they leave. And I don't think there's like a good or bad, but I do see that more. So it's like the urgency or the inspiration to actually want to learn. It's like, why are they not wanting to do this? It's like, what are we waiting for? Like you're almost pushing them along more. And it almost feels like more for some that they treat it just as a job, which I mean, technically it is. But it's like, it feels more of a job than like a passion career, and that they individually want to step up into their own role. Does that make sense? I've seen that. So I think what would help is also for them to identify, not only what gets you excited about chiropractic, but also why did you want to become an associate? Why did you choose to be here instead of, working, with someone else, or working in a sports clinic, or working, with like in a different community, or as an independent contractor and doing like kind of small stuff? Like, what drew you to a high volume practice? Not only because the staple is like, hey, I want to learn. It's like, okay, great. What do you want to learn, and why is that important to you? And understanding the why more than anything. Because then it's like, okay, now I can work with it and go from there.
All right. I think that's amazing, Amanda. And I'm curious now, like, as you've had an associate that is really kind of finding their identity, because that's something that I've watched as a lot of docs have come in. They're really almost seeking and trying to figure out who they are as they're navigating a new role. How would you encourage them to find their own voice, to find their identity, and to really do some of that own self-reflection for themselves?
I think number one, knowing what I know now, is you've got to do your inner work. I've seen this as a collection of, especially in a high volume office, of every doc that has come through, me, myself included, is it can be very easy to come and then you take on patients' energy and then it drains you, and then you're depleted. And then now it becomes almost this work shift of like, okay, I'm going to the work, I'm doing the same thing. It's like Groundhog's Day over and over. So I think honestly, learning, like you already learned so much through school. And so now like actually having a routine, whether it's, a workout routine in the morning, maybe it's a spiritual, maybe you're into like biblical Bible stuff, or, getting a sound mentor to like help you. I would have known about mine, like even way more than this, like it would have been groundbreaking. Right. And I think that helps not only lead people, it helps lead yourself, and it helps you not need anyone's recognition. And also it fulfills you more when you know yourself, because you're not leading on someone's applause, or like you're not butthurt over, little stuff, or like, because like you're successful because you chose to show up every day. Like the things you do, you're successful for. Like, it doesn't matter if like my name's on the door or it's not on the door. Like, I love when I come into a room where like everyone knows me, of like, oh, we're so excited you're here, blah, blah, blah. Like we've been like, so excited to see you. And it's great. And honestly, like, I'm weirdly like glad that now as time has gone, it's just, everything in life I feel does come down to time or money. It's either we're leveraging more money or we're leveraging more time. And I'm grateful to not have my name on the door because I'm like, great, like, do your stuff. I'm going to go and travel. I'll come back and we'll do our stuff. But now everything is still out of excellence. And it was actually funny, up until last week, I was in BNI, it's a business networking group, and I'm talking and everyone's always shouting out like a different BNI stuff. And this guy goes, wait a minute, you don't own the practice? And I said, no. I said, I didn't tell you I did. He goes, I've known you for 5 years. I thought the whole practice was yours. And I was like, thanks. I was like, well, I do treat it like my own, but no, it's not. And, and so it's like having that ownership of like what you want it to be. And it's not because like, you're just saying, oh, I'm this is this. It's just like, it's how I show up every day with the reflection, not only restoration, but it's more of a reflection of myself than it ever would be Taylor or Leah or anything separate.
Absolutely. So let's say someone's listening and they are being invited into their next season, their next evolution. Maybe it's something to do with their leadership. Maybe it's into their own more visibility. Maybe it's other offers. Maybe it's their just next level, but they're scared to claim it, to own it, to take authority over it, to follow the calling, to get quiet, to listen, to be able to hear the voice that may be speaking to them. What would you say to them?
That's a hard one. I feel like that's me consistently all the time. Part of me is like, you just got to be still and don't make sudden changes, because I think that's a big thing that even for me, I've been working on of like, it's not like I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. It's like, oh, I want to get to the point where I want to do this. And now it's not like you're not operating out of a need, you're operating out of a want, but it's also why. So be still. And when the right opportunity, not only it comes, and you're not passively waiting, it's just like, you're still enough to hear and like feel like everything else of what's coming. Then when the time comes, it's going to come, and it's actually going to come 10 times faster than, say I'm dropping ship and it's like, okay, now I'm going to do this and this and this. And now I'm trying to make things move. And it's like roadblock. And it's because it wasn't meant to move at that time. So oddly, I would say be still. But I mean, my type A person is like, burn it down, girl. Like, just go. Like, you'll figure it out later. But that's the Enneagram 7 in me that I'm like, move.
So be still, but let it flow.
Yeah, sure.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, for joining us this morning and sharing your heart. Gosh, sharing your story. I know already Dr. Sarah said you brought tears, but like I was feeling the heat. Like I loved being able to be in that vulnerable space with you. So thank you for being so honest and open about it. It was an honor getting to hear all of that. And if people want to connect with you further, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can do an Instagram. It's _restoring_lives. You can go on Instagram, Restoration Chiropractic. I run the whole page anyway. Or you can have my email and you can connect that way too.
Perfect. We'll make sure to add all of that to the show notes. And audience, if you liked what you heard today and want to hear more of it, please rate, like, subscribe, follow the show, turn on that notification button so that you get information about when our next episodes are coming out and when they are released. We're so grateful that you joined us today, and we'll see you next time.